Here with Sheriff Tim Goddard and Dr. Bud Goddard. And so, first of all, if you'll just introduce yourself with your full name and the year you were born.
Okay, Timothy Wilson Guider, born in 1956, July 1st.
James Perry Guider, go by Bud, October 12th, 1952.
Okay, we're going to start out by talking about education. We'll start with Tim. Tell me about your grammar school years and middle school years. Where did you go?
Loudon Grammar School over on Cedar Street. I remember a lot of things that happened there. We always used to have field day on Cedar Street, 50-yard dashes and stuff like that. I was never one of the fastest, but at that time I was a lot smaller than I am now. But then came over here to this school. This was the Loudon Junior High, and had a lot of good memories here too.
What were some of the good memories that stand out just at the top of your head?
Well, in grammar school, I remember having Miss Rainwater in third grade and Miss Hornwine in fourth, and Miss Hornwine was a very good teacher. And we moved forward after that. I remember this in fourth grade, which kind of is in line with where I am today. And my uncle Ernie Guider was running for sheriff, and I think that was he was sheriff from 1962 to 1968, and it may have been in 68 that I was campaigning for him in fourth grade, handing out cards and things, and there was another classmate of mine that her grandfather was Freeman Russell, and she was campaigning for Freeman, and it was kind of a fun thing.
Yeah.
And then came into the junior high, and Miss Cantrell was a very influential person, and she passed away, but she was just a very, very good woman, and that's what I remember about her.
Good. But
I went to elementary school, same school, Tim, Loudon Elementary, and then junior high in this building. Back then it wasn't in kindergarten, it was just first, second, third, fourth grade in elementary, and then started in this building in fifth grade, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth. One thing I remember is a couple of things that just triggered my memory from what Tim just said, is had Miss Petty as a teacher, and one thing she taught me that stood with me through life was that she came over to me one day and I didn't have my homework, and she said, "Here's what I want you to do." She said, "Why don't you have your homework?" And I said, "Well, when I got home," I was almost in tears, I think, but I said, "When I got home, somebody wanted to go play football, and I went outside to play football and did that. And by the time all that got done, I went home and had to do my chores, did that, and then ate supper, and it was time to go to bed, and there wasn't any time left." She said, "Here's what I want you to do. As soon as you get home every day, stop right then and there and get your homework done. And then you have the rest of the day to go play and do whatever you want to do, but get it done. And then don't put it up. Don't procrastinate. Get it done right then." And that sticks to me to this day. Just do it now. Don't wait.
right, good life lesson.
And then another thing I remember, when I was in the third grade, a good friend of mine named Van Helms, we were classmates from first grade through high school, and we we teamed up and we decided that we were going to be doctors. And that was when I had my first thoughts of being a physician. And back in those days, there were these things called Blue Horse coupons. And you collected Blue Horse coupons when you bought school supplies, paper products, clipboards, that kind of thing. That was the name brand, Blue Horse. And you got these coupons, similar to the old S&H coupon things. And you had these booklets that you could cash in your coupons for certain things. Well, we decided that we were going to pool our coupons and that we were going to get a TV, which was like 1 million coupons. We never did succeed. And that we were going to buy a TV, and that we were going to have that TV in our dorm room when we roomed together in medical school. And that was our plan. And we never did get enough coupons to get the TV. But lo and behold, we became roommates in medical school.
Really?
I sure did. After high school, I went one college, he went another college. We didn't see each other for 4 years after high school. And we came back together, got accepted to medical school after college, and were roommates in medical school for 2 years.
Where was that?
I was at Memphis,
Okay.
University of Tennessee, College of Health Sciences in Memphis. So that was my beginnings of my thoughts of being a physician. Then came over here to junior high school. It was called junior high school then. And one memory I have in 6th grade, my teacher was Miss James. And she taught me a lesson. We had a test, a health test one time. And the question was, what are the first teeth that you get? And the answer that most people put down was baby teeth. But I put primary teeth. And she counted it wrong. I looked in the book because I knew it was in there. And it was primary, parenthesis, baby teeth. And she counted it wrong. And I took it up to her sheepishly and said, I think this is right, Miss James. And she looked at it. She said, you're right. It's right. And she said, you should always stand up for what you believe. I'm glad you didn't let that go. That's my mistake. I'm sorry about that. You were right. Always stand up for what you think is right. And that has stuck with me for many years.
Great lesson. Great lesson. And then you both went on to Loudon High School. And memories about Loudon High School. I know both of you all played football. Graduated in '74. But you got to play on the state championship.
I did.
So
I'm very lucky.
Yeah.
Very lucky.
So Tim?
Well, I've always, my claim to fame as far as football goes is I came in and was on the 70 football team. Yeah. The year after they won the state championship. And then I graduated before the 74 championship, 74 and 75 state championship teams. And so my claim to fame is that I was after and before, so I came out empty-handed. But I was associated with a great bunch of young men. And, the team that followed the 69 team was a good team too. It was, I'll never forget the Maryville game. We had Maryville 28-0 at halftime. They come back and beat us 35-28. I think that was in the 70 football team. But anyway, those years were impressionable and learned a lot of things. Growing up. Just Loudon High School was good to me.
Tell us a little bit about the state championship team that you played on.
Well, I was probably the worst player on the best team, or on the best team that year. But I played, and I was proud to play. We had some very, very good football players, and a great coach. A great coach that had a lot of influence on both of us during our time in high school. Coach Ratledge. I never really got to play. I never was that good. I never really got to play except on special teams until I was a senior in high school. And then I got to play quite a bit in my senior year. But that team, there's some outstanding players on there, and players that I love then and still love now. I'm still a lot of good friends. One thing I do remember about that year, we played Kingston, at Kingston, and ended up with a tie, 7-7 tie. We scored 4 touchdowns and ended up with a tie. Got 3 of them called back. So it was pretty
Not
rough.
unusual.
That was pretty rough.
Up for Kingston.
It was a great time, and I've said it before and I'll say it now, that being a part of that championship team was one of the highlights of my life.
Can I add
Yeah.
something there?
Please.
So everybody knows Frog, who was the janitor there at the high school, but also very tight knit and family, I guess, of the football team, and he would always be on the sidelines with the '69 team and our team growing up. And so I had, and I don't know if other people had nicknames or not, but because I was a little sluggish, he nicknamed me Speedy. So he called me Speedy. His nickname was Midair. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
And why is that? Why midair?
Well, one time I played in a game, and I played split end, and I caught a pass and dove for the pass and caught it in midair. And at the next assembly, Mr. Napier, who was the principal of the high school at the time, he got up and said something about, I think, Bud, didn't you catch that ball in midair or something? And it just stuck. It just stuck after that. Probably one of the few passes I ever caught. But,
No, he caught a lot of it in midair.
You mentioned
I actually missed several passes in my career, or dropped them, and some people said, well, he can't catch anything unless he dives for it.
Yeah.
You mentioned Coach Ratledge. We all know that coaches have either a positive or a negative, just like teachers and other people, a positive or a negative influence on you. Was there a positive influence that came about from knowing Coach Ratledge, being coached by him?
Absolutely. He, I don't know if anybody really didn't like him. I mean, it's one of those people that you love or you don't, but I think most people did. He was a teacher of life too. I remember him coming up to the house and talking to Granddaddy because he wouldn't let some of it.
I was going to mention that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was younger, I was still probably junior high, but I remember him coming up there and talking to Granddaddy because Granddaddy had Bud and Joe was playing football too, but they wouldn't let Joe play. Joe, until Coach Ratledge came to see our grandfather and said, Bob, we need Joe, we need Bud, and because, football's a game of life, It's when you got your back against the wall, you got your back against the goal line, you got to come out fighting. That's kind of basically what I remember. And
he reminded Granddaddy that Uncle J.R. played football.
Oh, that's right.
It was his son, our uncle. And that, why not, why would he let us play as well? And he was convincing, and
Yeah.
Granddad let us play after that.
Good. As far as teachers at the high school,
Can I say a couple,
Oh, yeah.
something about Coach Travis?
Yeah.
A couple of other things. One thing I remember vividly, it tells you what kind of man he is. You know, he was kind of a small in stature fellow. And when he's on the football field, some of these big giant linemen and whatnot, he was, you know, just a tiny man basically. But he could throw a lick, and he would get kind of upset at times. And he would, his claim to fame was when he got upset, he'd come up to you and he'd throw kind of a forearm into your chest to get your attention. We did that one time, our brother Joe, and his arm went up under his chin strap and busted his lip. And I mean blood went everywhere. And it startled him, because he certainly didn't mean to do that. And he didn't say anything. He stopped what he was doing then. Didn't say anything about it after that. And we got through the practice and went on. And about 9 o'clock that night, we heard a knock on the door. And it was Coach Ravitch. And he came to apologize. He said, he came in, apologized to our grandparents, who we lived with, and to Joe. He said, shouldn't have done that. I'm sorry about that.
wow.
Please forgive me. So that's what kind of man he was right there. Number one. Number two, when I was later on in high school, he had a pet monkey in his family. This is one thing that one of my early medical experiences, more with like a veterinarian or whatnot. But he came and got me and Gordo Watson, and he said the monkey's about to cut his tail off. He said, I need you boys to come and help me. So we get in the car. We went to his house. And we patched that monkey's tail up, and it was wrapped in gauze about that thing. And
So that was your first medical training?
Oh, that probably was. That was one of the first things I ever did, was on a monkey's tail. But we had a lot of fun, and I think the tail healed up pretty good, as far as I can remember. But he's a great man.
Yep.
Great man. I have a lot of respect for everything he always did.
Teachers at Loudon High School, did any make an impact on your life?
There were many teachers. I can go back, and I wanted to, if I could, just really go back real quick to first grade and second grade too, and Miss Turner and Miss Nature. And you know, you always big things that happen in the country or the nation, and you usually remember where you were at that moment. You know, well, I was in second grade when President Kennedy was shot and killed, and I'll never forget that. You know, you'll never forget where you were on 9/11.
I was in Miss James' class about 3 doors down in this building.
Yeah. So, but then going to high school. Let me go back
Sure.
to 7th grade. I think it was 7th or 8th. And I just had this conversation with Mr. Bettis not long ago. And we have become good friends since then. But he was just fresh out of college, and new teacher. And he come in here, and I don't know what it was, but we didn't get off on the right foot together. And I kind of bucked him one day, and he pretty much sit me down. He said, I don't know what I said, but he said, Tim Guider, if you feel froggy, just jump. And I sat back down kind of, But that's kind of, we both of us have remembered that
Really?
from then on. And so I brought that up the other day. He said, Tim, he said, I come out of college, thought I was going to be able to do this and have this type of approach in teaching. He said, I done it all wrong. He said, I learned from that day. And so I thought, well, something good. I mean, it was just meant to be, I guess. But in high school, I guess the person that just stands out in my mind is Miss Blanche Watkins. She was a slave driver, and she just really she was a good teacher. Sarah was too. Sarah was not far behind. And,
Both.
yeah, and I mean, there's I'm sure I'm overlooking some, but
They're the ones that stand out.
yeah, Mr. Foster, Jerry Foster, he was a good teacher, good history teacher, and Mr. Napier. There's a part of my body that is in the annual, and I don't know why, but Mr. Napier was killed my senior year in a car crash, and Coach. Anyway, I was a little mischief in high school, and I guess in my senior year but I got sent to the office, and the principal got the paddle out, spanking my rear end, and I got photographed and stuck in the annual there. Not my face, but my bottom.
Now it'd be a lawsuit.
Yeah.
I guess the teacher that stands out to me, the high school teacher, is Miss Nancy Marcus. She was my biology teacher as a sophomore. And I look back at, she also was kind of a new grad, and but boy, what a teacher. She taught, what I learned in sophomore biology was better than what I learned. I majored in biology in college, and never had a teacher in college in any biology subjects as good as her. I mean, she was good, and she prepared me very, very well. And biology is obviously an important subject for a physician. So it was a good jump start in what my major in college was.